morning, friends. Welcome to This Day Devo. My name is Pastor Guy. Today we read Luke chapter 14, verse 15 through chapter 15, verse 10. I'm not going to touch on chapter 15 for the reason that tomorrow we read the parable of the lost son, and that fits well with the parable of the lost sheep as well as the parable of the lost coin. So today I simply want to talk to you briefly about the first section of what we read, which is the parable of the great feast and the cost of being a disciple. You are practicing as a Christian in being a follower of Christ. Our mission as a church, making and guiding fully devoted followers of Jesus Christ, making and guiding disciples of Jesus Christ. It is a mission of discipleship. We evangelize, we outreach, we preach the gospel, we see people saved, but at the end of the day, it is God who saves you, and that is a decision that you make to follow Jesus. So where we fit in there after proclaiming and preaching the message of Jesus is very much the bulk of what we do as a church is in the discipleship category. And there is a cost associated with being a disciple. Just like Jesus, I would desire for the banquet table to be as full as possible, right? I mean, I want to see more people saved. I want to see more people filling churches. I want to see more people worshiping, not just at our church, but at all churches and all churches that preach the truth. And Jesus here is saying, listen, he's giving this example in this parable of the great feast. He's saying, go out into the country lanes, go behind the hedges, urge anyone that you find to come so that the house will be full. Everybody that you see, everybody that you find, urge them to come. Invite them to the great feast, to the great banquet. I want them there. So Jesus' desire is to fill the banquet hall. His desire is to fill heaven with people, with believers whom he loves and laid his life down for. However, he also immediately launches into an explanation of the cost of discipleship, because you'll notice throughout Jesus' ministry, it is more important to him, even though he has crowds of thousands upon thousands of people following him. It is more important to him to have sold out all-in believers. He wants people that are legitimately entirely his, fully surrendering, following Christ. And so he stands up there before a large crowd. I mean, and in his humility and in his deeper understanding of the purpose, he's like, he would rather have just a dozen sold out believers than thousands upon thousands or millions of wishy-washy believers. So he wants people. He's like, go and get everybody, but make sure that they are aware that there is a cost to be counted, and that cost is that everything else in your life is one notch at least below Christ, that your faith is number one, that your love for Jesus is number one, that the phrase is that if you want to be my disciple, by comparison, you must hate everyone else. You must hate your mother, your father, your wife, your children, your brothers and sisters, even yourself in your own life, because your love for Christ is so deep and so true that you would give him all things, and then everything else is below. I mean, you could draw some different comparisons on that in terms of, like, I love my wife. I love my wife number one. She is the number one most important woman in my life. And by comparison, maybe you could say, well, I hate all the other women. I don't hate all the other women. There's a lot of wonderful women that I know. But I don't love them in the way that I love my wife. It is a different kind of relationship. I am to treat them like sisters and mothers. And so my call is to love with all my heart, mind, soul, and strength. And this is the invitation. We see people that he gives this example of counting the cost of not to begin on a journey until you know. This is why every time that when the gospel is presented and the invitation is there to come and get saved, there has to be this portion of, hey, this isn't about emotionalism. This isn't about a moment. This isn't about just this day, but this is about your life. And so there is that conversation to be had, that full surrender means all in, all the way, because many people have made, be it a false conversion, an emotional conversion, a decision just in a moment, and not really paused to say to themselves, what does it look like to really fully surrender? What is the cost? What am I giving up in order to gain something that is so much better than anything else that this world offers? And that's where we have to remember, because there are so many people that Jesus is talking to here. Like, to go and then come back is to be laughed at. Well, he said he was going to follow Jesus, and he clearly has walked away from that. He's clearly fallen away. He's backslidden. He's got no interest in that. And then people laugh at them. Like in this story, he began on a journey. He began to build, and he returned. So we as Christians, we need to pursue constantly, daily, laying down my life that on this day I am giving God everything. And there is a cost to that. But the reward far, 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 far outweighs anything that you're giving up. Because the things that we try to hold on to that are the cost, those things are all nothing. Nothing. It's just fade away, burn away in the end. Nothing. So the only thing worth holding on to is the one thing that will sustain you through it all. So we should take on that cross, and we should take on that cost with joy, because we get everything. Today I learned this about Jesus, and on this day I will this. How do you fill in those blanks today? Good to see you. Have a wonderful week.
I am with you in the darkness. I will be your light. Every word sent down from heaven as the power of Christ.